What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. So, good news, good and breaking news. Nigeria has suspended the licenses of foreign oil distributor and imports and is prioritizing domestic oil production and distribution. That's the kind of economic power we need. That's what I'm talking about. These are the steps that's going to take Nigeria to where it needs to go. It's very important for African countries to take control of their resources and stop allowing predatory outside corporations and nations to influence Nigerian or Africa as a whole's economies by importing their lesser material. Because usually the oil that comes into Nigeria from these European distributors are not high quality. It's dirty, non-high quality oils. It's the most least processed, most least pure of them all. And they just give it to us like it's trash. And then we end up paying top dollar for it. No longer is that the case because Africans don't need resources from other countries. The only thing Africa needs is expertise in certain fields in order for them to operate the technologies of the future. Other than that, they don't need any resources, including or especially oil, because Nigeria is an oil giant. Right? But for Nigerians to reap the benefit of that, Nigeria needs to be in control of the economy of its oil, meaning it needs to refine its oil, it needs to process and sell its oil. Now, Nigeria is selling oil all around the world, all right, because it's a top dog when it comes to oil. You know, it may not seem like it right now, right? But other economic steps were necessary in order for these corporations in Nigeria to maximize the profit and the benefit of the country. When Tinubu floated the naira, even and then when he took the subsidies off of the oil and gas, that hurt the Nigerians. It hurt me because I felt it in my business, right? But at the same time, the subsidies needed to be lifted in order to take away the, what do you call it? It's almost like welfare, right? It's almost like being subservient to outside forces when you subsidize such a thing, when it's not backed up by any influx of money coming in from your own product that you're supposed to be selling. When we were basically just giving away our raw material to other countries who refine it and sell it back to us, at least the shittiest portions of it back to us at top dollar, well above what everybody else is paying. But like I said, as you can see all across Africa, when it comes to gold, when it comes to cobalt, when it comes to uranium, when it comes to any materials that the whole world needs to operate, Africa is now starting to nationalize. If not nationalized, their corporations are starting to lobby to their respective governments to prioritize domestic production and adding to the value chain, meaning you're not just selling raw material, we're making finished products. As you can see, Ghana did the same thing with chocolate, because why is Sweden famous for chocolate when they don't grow chocolate? Why is Europe selling gold when they don't have no gold? All that comes from Africa. So before Africa and there's various different states in Africa, before they can thrive and reap the benefits, first they have to cut the teeth off from the European exporters and importers who wants to take advantage of Africa and their resources and the corrupt systems in which they utilize to do that, right? So, and then after that, you need to learn the expertise to add value to the goods that you already have. That way, Africa can start selling finished products to the world instead of raw material to the world. So, without further ado, let's check out what Nigeria is doing. And Nigeria is doing something else too. They're also refining their own gold. See, Ghana, they made a big announcement about it. Nigeria did. They made a little announcement about it. But what people don't know is Nigeria is taking their gold, putting it in their banks, and they're going to back their naira off of it eventually. All African countries are behind closed doors, despite what you believe. The African Union, they got a plan. And that plan is being implemented, even though those plans are being implemented by some politicians who we consider corrupt. Because even though a lot of our politicians are corrupt here in Africa, right, which all politicians are corrupt. Go ahead and name me a politician. Name me a country that politicians are not corrupt. Please, I'll wait. Somebody put it in the comment section. A country whose politicians are not corrupt. Go ahead, I'll wait. Oh, you can. Okay, so there we go. Let's continue on. So secretly behind closed doors, all African countries in unison are shoring up their resources so they can back their currencies with those resources. That way, those currencies will remain strong and be competitive on the global market. I'm telling you, pay attention to what's going on. Anyway, without further ado, this is Afro Think Tank. Learn some, teach some. I'm out.
The Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority shows that no import licenses for gasoline were issued in February or so far in March, signaling a shift towards prioritizing local output. In fact, major oil marketers have had their import licenses revoked. It further reveals that nearly all gasoline supplied in Nigeria came from Dangote refinery, the largest in Africa. And under the new policy, gasoline imports permits will only be issued when local production cannot meet demand, which isn't currently the case.
We'd go back a week and it was hovering in a stable range of the mid-60s. It's now 118. If you look at freight rates, it would cost us about $800,000 a day to bring crude on a tanker from a Nigerian terminal to our refinery. That's currently 3.5 million.
The development marks a turning point in a battle billionaire Aliko Dangote had previously taken to court, who has long argued fuel imports are no longer necessary, stressing that such approvals violated regulations and undermined Nigeria's growing local refining capacity. The Dangote Group recently signed 2 agreements worth $750 million with China and India to expand its refinery and petrochemical operations. Once completed, the investment is expected to boost the refinery's capacity to about 1.4 million barrels per day. For more on this, our correspondent Louisa has sent us this report from Lagos. Take a look.
In a committed move to protect domestic refining of petroleum products, Nigeria has suspended the issuance of gasoline import licenses for a second straight month, despite price surge by more than 54% since the US and Israel began strikes on Iran. This is in line with the Petroleum Industry Act that only allow imports when the African country's domestic supply falls short. Now, while this aims to reduce Nigeria's historic reliance on imported fuel, questions remain about whether local output can fully meet demand without disruptions. For now, regulators insist imports will only resume if domestic supply falls short. We recall the Dangote refinery last year sued the regulator and the state oil company to force a halt to imports. From Lagos, Nigeria, Louisa Olaniyi. We on World is One.
Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Before you come asking Mr. Muhammad, does he teach hate? You should ask yourself, who taught you to hate being what God gave you?
Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! We most definitely cannot forget about the people of Sudan!
Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.